We could even take this, for instance, down to, and we'll do a fraction here of it and see how those look. So we'll do about a, let's see, we'll do a point. Oh, there we go. We'll do a point value and see how it looks. We'll do a 0.25 here. So I'm going to play around with the numbers for just a little bit, just to see how it's going to fill it out. Let's see. Alright. So we may still want to go with a -2 there, and -2 there. Okay. So we'll do a little bit less movement on the Y. There we go. So taking the height number, it's good because I can see more of, if you drag these up to 20 and 30, you can really start to see what's happening with it. But then when you take it all the way down to a point value, you also start seeing the other end of it, where it can become much smaller in scale, much smaller and softer. Alright, so I think our final values on these, we'll go for the X at a -0.1, Y -0.1, and then the random between is going to be a 0.1 and the -0.2. And this one, you could go up or down with it if you wanted to. We could actually do, for instance, how about I do a, here we'll keep, there we go. How about we'll keep them the same, that way it's easier to keep track of. So we'll do -0.1 on both, and you could go a little bit more random if you want. But we'll do a negative on both of those, and then we'll just do a straight force down with a little bit of a difference between it. Alright. So there's the first part of it, so they're kind of floating down. And then if we go to our force over lifetime, the force over lifetime again, we want to go ahead and do that same type, random between two constants. It's always nice to get that variance between them. It really helps to make it feel a bit more natural. So let's do the force. This is just going to be a really soft force. We don't want to do, again, if we did large numbers, you can see it's going to move it really fast, really hard through it. So we'll do a -0.2 and a 0.2 on it. So we're going to make this just a little bit more. The force is going to push down a little bit harder for us. And then for the extra push on that one, we'll do a negative. We'll do a -1 to a -1.5. Let's see how that looks for a moment. There we go. So it's kind of coming down, but also notice it's being pushed down a little too hard. So on the force, let's actually just go to a -0.5 to a -0.75. There we go. So it's going to slow it down a little bit for us. So again, we're looking at just a few particles. How about we go ahead and, now that we feel like it's going in the right direction, let's start taking up our rate. I'm going to take this rate up. We'll go for about a 250. Let's see how it looks with that. So on the emissions, we have a rate at 250. There we go. So you can kind of start to get that sense of just snowflakes falling. Now it's a little bit heavier than we would want for just a light snow. So let's go ahead and we'll try taking the on our velocity over lifetime. Let's take this to a -1, and then we'll do a actually that works pretty good. And then we'll take our force over lifetime. We'll do a -2.5 and do a -0.5. And then let's take our rate, and you can go ahead and take it up both ways for your emission rate. Take it up to, for instance, take this to 1,000 and check out what you have here. Now remember, 1,000 means once 1,000 go, then the max particle limit currently shows this, so that's why you're getting a little, it shows stops and goes. If you want to keep it within that boundary, you can, if you only want a max of 1,000, then you can actually reduce your rate. So for instance, we could take our rate down to 300. There we go. So I'm probably gonna, for a light snow, we might go for something around 100 to 150. Might look good for just a nice soft light snow. Alright. So that looks pretty good. Light snow pieces are just kind of floating down soft. Now remember, your collision is that if you want to, right now the pieces, when they go, they're getting right to the edge and disappearing. But if you wanted to have your snow with the lifetime, say for instance you wanted the lifetime to be, actually I believe infinity is 0. So if you want, you could have it where it is, let's see, no, which one's lifetime? Oh, okay, so there's going to be an lifetime on this one. We'll put a lifetime at, say, 10. So each particle will go 10 down. And then what you could do, just in case you want to try it here, is that you could go down to your collision. Let's see where we have collision here. And turn collision on. And then instead of planes, do world. And then be sure that instead of bounce, you want to set bounce to 0. And then you want to set dampen down to up to 1. And then all of a sudden, you have your snow coming down, it hits, and then it just kind of hangs there for a little while. So if you were walking through your environment, you would kind of get that impression that it's not just going through the floor, but you've actually got that little moment to see it and feel like it's sticking. Alright, and that's one of those elements though when it comes to performance. Just be sure that you're aware of that if you're clicking this and you have collision quality at high, that you are asking a little bit more of your particle system because it's having to check for every one of those coming down. Alright, so that's going to be our snow light. Be sure to click on the snow light, left click and drag it over to your snow folder. We'll make the snow light prefab right there. Alright, and that's going to finish off the snow light. The next one we're going to do is a snow heavy, and then we'll finish off with a snow more of a storm-like